Here. Here.
I haven't started it yet. I'm going to wait till the top of the hour, which is right now.
Okay. Oops, sorry.
Every day I see miserable people doing things they hate just to fit in. I know it's easier to get along peacefully, but have you ever thought about you? Don't know why I keep on doing what I'm told to do when the rules are made up by someone we never knew. Baby, wipe your tears and hear me out. We don't need someone to feel alright. Let's do the streets on a Monday. Let's call your exes and tell them they can join us too. Why always worry about money when you can get rich by trying to see the outside?
Welcome everybody. In just 7 days, it's the big holiday that everyone makes themselves crazy over every year. And I don't know if you guys are ready yet. I'm not. There's always time, right? Up until midnight, Christmas Eve, there's still time. And on that note, I welcome you to today's show, Festivus for the Rest of Us, to air or not to air grievances. And this is going to be a good one. But first, I want to welcome my show producer, Pamela Elaine Nichols. She is a woman who has navigated the complexity of marriage and divorce twice while raising 4 amazing children along the way. She commemorates her journey of resilience post-divorce as the executive producer of Muddy High Heels Entertainment, a nonprofit she established to help others facing the same journey. Welcome, Pamela Elaine.
Thank you, Attorney Lenore. It's a delight to be with you, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too. So, who doesn't remember one of the funniest Seinfeld episodes? I still laugh every time I see it. And, I think all of us have fantasized about sharing their own grievances at the holiday table. I guess it's natural, it's real, and it does happen. And so now that the holidays are here, there might be something that some people are waiting to say to their family, and they're thinking, what better time to do that than during the holiday gatherings, right?
Right.
Should they air their grievances then or at another time? And so we're going to dive into when to air your grievances. The timing is just as important as where you air them, and we're going to look at the pros and cons on this show. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Well, we have some scenarios to read to you of people who are challenged with this topic, Attorney Lenore. Many think that this is the best time to air your grievances and say what you need to say. So I'm very interested in what your response to those scenarios. We'll try to read 4 of them today. Why don't we watch a little bit of the Seinfeld clip, Festivus for the Rest of Us? How about we do that?
I would love that. And get out your Festivus poll.
Here we go.
Happy Festivus.
What's Festivus?
When George was growing up, his father...
Nothing. It's nothing. It's a stupid holiday my father invented. It doesn't exist.
Happy Festivus, Georgie.
I got your message. I haven't celebrated Festivus in years. What is your interest?
Well, just tell me everything, huh?
Many Christmases ago, I went to buy a doll for my son. I reached for the last one they had, but so did another man. As I rained blows upon him, I realized there had to be another way.
What happened to the doll?
It was destroyed. But out of that, a new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
Well, that must have been some kind of doll.
And at the Festivus dinner, you gather your family around and tell them all the ways they have disappointed you over the past year.
And is there a tree?
No, instead there's a pole. Requires no decoration. I find tinsel distracting.
Frank, this new holiday of yours is scratching me right where I itch.
Let's do it then.
All right.
Festivus is back! I'll get the pole out of the crawl space.
Well, happy Festivus.
What is that? Is that the pole?
George, Festivus is your heritage. It's part of who you are.
That's why I hate it.
Look, it's a big dinner Tuesday night at Frank's house. Everyone's invited.
George, you're forgetting how much Festivus has meant to us all. I brought one of the cassette tapes. Read that poem.
I can't read it. I need my glasses.
You don't need glasses, you're just weak. You're weak.
Leave him alone!
All right, George. It's time for the Festivus Feats of Strength.
Get it off! No face of strength! I'm Festivus!
We had some good times.
You better have a damn good reason why you gave me a fake Christmas gift.
Well, sir, I gave out the fake card because, I don't really celebrate Christmas. I celebrate Festivus.
Feminist.
Festivus, sir. And, I was afraid that I would be persecuted for my beliefs. They drove my family out of Bayside, sir.
Are you making all this up, too?
Oh, no, sir. Festivus is all too real, and I could prove it if I have to.
Yeah, you probably should.
Happy Festivus!
George, this is a surprise. Who's the suit?
Yo, Dad, this is my boss, Mr. Kruger.
Have you seen the pole, Cougar?
Yeah, he doesn't need to see the pole. Dad.
He's going to see it.
Happy Festivus! Yama, hama.
Yeah, time to go home. What are you doing here?
Embracing my roots.
It's made from aluminum. Very high strength to weight ratio.
I find your belief system fascinating.
Hey! Happy Festivus, everyone!
Hello again, Miss Bennis.
What are you doing here?
Damnedest thing. Me and Charlie were calling to ask you out, and we got this bagel place.
I told them I was just about to see you. It's a Festivus miracle!
Dinner's ready!
Let's begin. Welcome, newcomers. The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're gonna hear about it. You, Kruger, my son tells me your company stinks.
Oh, God.
Quiet, you'll get yours in a minute. Kruger, you couldn't smooth a silk sheet if you had a hot date with a babe. I lost my train of thought. And now, as Festivus rolls on, we come to the feats of strength.
Not the feats of strength.
This year, the honor goes to Mr. Kramer.
Oh, gee, Frank, I'm sorry. I gotta go. I have to work a double shift at H&H.
I thought you were on strike.
Yeah, well, I caved. I mean, I really had to use their bathroom. Frank, no offense, but this holiday's a little out there.
Kramer, you can't go. Who's gonna do the feats of strength?
How about George?
Good thinking, Cougar. Until you pin me, George, Festivus is not over.
Oh, please, somebody stop this.
Let's rumble!
I think you can take him, Georgie.
Hey, come on, be sensible.
Stop crying and fight your father.
Ow! Oh, I know.
This is the...
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny unless it's your family.
Right? Exactly. So
And
I think this might be a good time to get to the scenarios that you can address, Attorney Lenore.
yes, let's answer the questions um
Yep,
of
and we already
our
watched that. Yep, let's go to the first one. Let me bring it up on the screen. All righty. Festivus for the rest of us. Dear Attorney Lenore, I am a Seinfeld fan. The number of times I've watched the episode on Festivus is embarrassing, but so funny to me. For the number of times I've watched this episode is pretty close to the number of times I have aired my grievances to my current husband during the holidays. My hope is that he would get it and straighten up and fly right before I turn him over to the wolves. What's so wrong with airing grievances during a time when it's more likely than ever that I will be heard? Sincerely, let the 2023 Festivus begin.
well, as we can see in the episode, a lot of this stuff is a dysfunctionality of the relationship of the family that is passed down from generation to generation, and it's just severely affects the kids even into adulthood.
Mm.
um and I don't think anybody hears what is actually being said or understands how it can be fixed. You know, just berating someone is not necessarily communicating what it is you need from them. And I think that the best way to communicate what you're feeling is at a time where it's private and that you and that person can actually have a real conversation and come to a resolution. And I think depending on who is sitting at that Christmas table, those memories that you make are going to be, you know, they're indelible. I mean, there's something about Christmas that just marks time, and it's like a milestone in your life. And I don't think that's a Christmas memory that you want to make. I mean, I have something that's in my office from the book Conversation with God, and it says you can wound, basically to paraphrase it, is like you can wound somebody in a second, but it can take years to heal those wounds. So, is your thought when you air those grievances to hurt because you've been hurt, or is it to be heard and validated?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm thinking that if you're going to do it in a group setting, you're not looking to be validated, you're looking to hurt, because hurt people hurt. So I would not do that if I was that wife, because you'd have to live with that aftermath for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking here that, well, there's no, like, you can air your grievance, but you need to do it in front of an audience. It seems like some of what's behind this person's sharing. Like it's not the same when you air and it's just you and the person. It's when you air and you've got an audience listening to you where you think that they will take your side. Just like George's father.
Right. You think that they're going to
Mm-hmm.
take your side. But depending on, in what scenario you do that, blood can be thicker than water, or, like his family could side with him and be mad with you, or you're open a Pandora's box with your family. Like, you may feel like once you get that off your chest, you're good and your husband, and you can go forward. They'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And so you have to live with how you've changed their opinion about the person that you're spending the rest of your life with. So why do you need an audience? The only person that you really need to hear what you have to say is the person you have an issue with.
Yeah, so I'm hearing people in my ear, voices in my head saying, "Yeah, that's true, but I need people to know how bad he or she is." Like, this is a whole point here. I need them to know how bad he or she is. And sometimes it seems, Attorney Lenore, that it is better for that individual to feel right than do something that's in the best interest of others. I'm just going down into the very base human condition that we have, because some people need to understand that this is what you're really doing. You're going to the lowest part of yourself to make yourself right, which could
Yeah, I mean,
backfire.
very easily backfire. Um, you know, I get why somebody would want to say that. But certain things done in anger are not always the best. And you know, why are you doing that? You want everybody to know how awful this person is. Well, maybe they already do know. And so what if they know they're awful? Then what are you doing with them?
Yeah,
How does that make you look? If your husband's so
interesting.
awful, people will sit there and go, well, why are you staying with him?
Yeah,
You know,
right.
like, so
Yeah.
you gotta, here's the thing. When you kick and throw mud, you get dirty yourself.
Love that. Right?
Right? So think
Yeah, when
about
you
it.
kick and throw mud, you get dirty yourself. Yeah. Yeah. And so in this scenario, the biggest concern, or what this writer should be thinking about, is one, how does it make you look? You think you may be looking clean, but not so much. Two, it could backfire, right? And three, it sounds like um, you're really making it about you at the expense of others. So, what does that say about your real deep concern and care for the people that you're surrounded by?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
if you want to draw a line that you're not going to accept something, then draw it before the family gathering
Mm.
and don't tolerate it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to cause a scene. You just have to just draw that line and not let them cross it.
I like that, Lenore. Attorney Lenore, I like that. Okay, well, why don't we go to our second scenario?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The judge will side with my grievance. Dear Attorney Lenore, Thursday after Christmas, my wife and I will stand before a judge who will hear from my lawyer and me how my wife has been the devil in our marriage. I was feeling super confident about my position and winning in court until I saw your blog and watched the Seinfeld episode. I plan to air my grievances about my witch wife this holiday season. I believe it will help me in my court hearing. Why does your post sound like I won't win, or that something is wrong with quote unquote airing grievances? Sincerely, you don't know the witch in my world.
Mm.
Oh my.
Well, so, um, you know, um, the courts are about facts and the law,
Mm.
and the judge is heard a lot. And in Pennsylvania, as in most states, it's a no fault divorce um, state. which means basically they don't divide property just on fault. It might be one tiny factor in, a multitude of factors, but it's not just who did what to whom. It's more an economic decision. And
Okay.
and if it's a child custody case, it's more about what's in the best interest of the child. And so, you know, and also what you think is so awful about your wife, a judge might not think is so bad because they've heard everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge doesn't want to hear a lot of griping. They want to hear the facts and the law. They really do. If you want to go and complain about how awful this person has been in your marriage, for the most part, they're going to think you should go into counseling and therapy. I mean, if they stole money, if they squandered the savings, if they, don't want you to have any money and don't want to settle the case, yeah, those kind of things will come up for the judge. But if it is like, well, we haven't shared the same bed in 5 years, and she gives me cold dinners, and and she yells at me all the time, and she belittles me in front of my parents and kids, and what's your point? That doesn't have any weight in the court. And your lawyer will try and help you be focused on what's going to help you win your case. But if you're looking to be vindicated as the poor, long-suffering spouse, you're not going to get that in court. There used to be, when I went to Villanova Law School, there was a story about one of the old-time professor. And before I went to the law school, the seminary was located across the street. And this professor was like Professor Hausman from The Paper Chase, back from that movie from the 70s. And he would say to his students, if you want justice, go across the street to the seminary.
Love that.
So I think, you're in, you can be in for a rude awakening. Not everybody sees things the same way, and the judge may not see things the way you think. And the most important thing that this person should remember is you are handing over the keys to your kingdom to a stranger in a black robe who really doesn't know your situation. And you probably would be better off putting the emotion aside with your wife and coming up with, in mediation, with an economic solution that would make the most sense for you and your family.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're bitter and angry, no one is feeling generous towards the other person. And you're spending a lot of money on attorneys just to vent your spleen. So I think you might end up finding you had coal in your stocking with this one.
Well, before we go to the next scenario, Attorney Lenore, why do you think this individual is collapsing? I'm going to air my grievances about my witch wife this holiday. I believe it will help me in my court hearing. That seems like a mix between options. What makes them think that that's going to help airing their grievances at holiday in court?
Because I guess maybe they think they're going to ruin their wife's Christmas. And a lot of people come to court because they want to be proven right. They want somebody to tell me I'm right and you're wrong. And that's just, you can't predict what somebody else is going to do. Just because you think you're right does not necessarily mean somebody else is right. That somebody else is going to think you're right. there's a lot of nuances and a lot of discretion in family court. So, and I have to say, most people come out of family court feeling that they didn't get justice and feeling they paid their attorney a whole lot more money than they needed to.
Yeah. And
So,
it sounds like there's a bit of intimidation plan to intimidate in this person's description. Going to air my grievances about my witch wife this holiday season, and she might be so intimidated that she may not be able to deliver a good case to her with her attorney when they get into court. Do you think that's part of, do you think intimidation is part of the game plan in airing one's grievances?
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. I think it's more shaming. You want to
Shaming.
shame somebody. You want
Yes.
somebody to feel bad about themselves. Probably this person feels bad about themselves. And it sounds like
True.
any man that calls somebody a witch, I think is a man that feels emasculated by the woman.
Yeah.
And it's an attempt to regain a sense of their manhood.
Hmm.
But really, you know, people can only take your power if you give it to them in reality.
Nice. Yeah, right.
And you're going, it's sort of like going to the Wizard of Oz and
Right.
asking for this thing that you already have. Um, when you go, he's talking about his witch wife and going to court, and yeah, the judge is just the man behind the robe. And
Yeah.
anything that you're looking to get from them personally, you had all along.
Mm. Yeah. That's hopefully that saying that that's a very encouraging, empowering statement that I wish many people who are going through divorce would embrace, because I could take down some of the drama that happens in the divorce process. You have already inside of you that which you need to be the best version of yourself, and maybe make this process a little bit easier on yourself and your family. We can go to the ugliest side of ourselves, but we also have the choice to go to the better, I think you call it the better angel of ourselves.
Yes, better,
Yeah,
are better angels.
our better
And
angels.
truthfully, I mean, if this person is so awful, what are you seeking
Again,
to get from them? That, I mean, if you didn't get it during your marriage, you're not going to get it now.
exactly. What it truth right there. Um, all right, let's go to our next scenario. Hear and be healed. Dear Attorney Lenore, I believe in speaking my truth and telling it like it is. This is how I run my business. This is how I lead my life. This is how I ran my marriage. I tell my husband my truth, my dislikes, my grievances. No better time to tell him this than in front of our kids and his parents this holiday season. I believe I can set him straight because he won't be able to wiggle his way out of the lies he has told and the infidelity he has done. What's wrong with going for the jugular if it will help him, his parents, our children, and our family? Sincerely, in the pursuit of healing. Look how she's collapsed or entangled, healing and telling it like it is.
Hurting.
Yeah, healing and hurting.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Well, there is, I think I said this in one other episode, I'm not sure. Anyway, one of my favorite poets, Emily Dickinson,
Hmm.
there's one of her poems that goes, tell all the truth but tell it slant, success and circuit lies. So, you can tell the truth, but you might want to soften that a little bit for your husband to hear. Now, she talks about infidelity. I can
Hmm.
understand why she would be really upset about that.
Mm-hmm,
But do you really want to ruin his parents' Christmas and your children's Christmas by saying your dad's a cheat? Like,
yeah.
and is that really gonna stop him from cheating? Um, like, usually people who I mean, not to say that it can't happen once, but usually once a cheat, always a cheat.
Mm,
And um and if this person fell in love with somebody else and isn't in love with you anymore, they're not going to be coming back to you,
mm,
especially not if you embarrass them in front of your children and their family. Why would they want to come back to you then? um I'm not saying that this woman shouldn't be heard. I'm not saying that she shouldn't try to heal her marriage, but you know this is not the place. This is not the time or
mm-hmm,
place to
mm-hmm,
try any of this.
mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't want to own what he did and take responsibility for it, it's certainly not going to do that in front of his family and his kids. He's
Yeah,
going to defend himself. There's He's going to try and wiggle it out of it every which way to Sunday. So I just don't think, I think she's angry, and I think
yeah,
she wants to hurt him just as much as he hurt her. And I can understand that, but I don't think that she's going to achieve what she's setting out to do in this way.
yeah. And, she's saying she's going to do this in front of his parents. Like, what makes her think that his parents are going to sit there and listen while
Hmm.
she berates their son? I don't think so.
I
So
don't think so.
there's part of a mistake here in the assumption that everybody's just going to sit and listen quietly while she goes off the deep end on him.
Right. And the other thing she has to remember is, her children know that they're half of dad's DNA. So do you think that they're going to feel good about themselves now that
Mhm.
you're telling them he's a cheat and a liar? And I mean, that's just, and at Christmas, I don't think that's going to be helpful
Yeah.
for her children. I mean, I'm sure there's things that the children need to work out with their dad. Um, but you know, that's not for her to do at this time in front of the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally get that. And I hope that she will reconsider that decision.
Yes,
Let's go to our
definitely.
next, and let's go to our last scenario here. Speak to be heard. Okay, dear Attorney Lenore, this holiday I'm going to do what I should have done 15 holidays ago. I'm going to tell my daughter why her mother hasn't been consistent in her life for the last 15 years of her now 20-year-old life. I've been trying to protect her from her mother's bad deeds when my daughter asks about her. But no more. I can no longer be the protector of her mother's love for drugs over her mother's love for her daughter. Yes, her mom and I are still married, but I will be certain to tell my daughter that I will be divorcing her mother at the beginning of the new year. Sincerely, finally telling the truth. Ooh,
Mm.
it's
But
not
of
going to be
course,
good.
no. Well, first of all, Dad, she's 20 years old. She knows her mom has a problem.
Mm,
This is not news to her. You think that she's not aware, but I'm sure she's quite aware. And I'm sure she's gone through her own mourning process and feeling unloved already by her mom, because her mom is an addict. But, you know,
mm,
this is not the Christmas present you should be giving your child.
mhm,
You can tell her at another point, listen, your mom's an addict. It's a disease. It's gotten the better of her. I don't think it's healthy for me to stay with her anymore. And, it's probably not healthy for you to stay here anymore. I think it's time for me to separate households, and you're welcome to come live with me. I want you to heal your relationship with your mom, because I think that's very important for you to have a good relationship with her. But mom has to address her addiction. And I just can't allow our family life to be disrupted in this way. But
Mm-hmm.
he needs to do it other than at Christmas. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to ruin Christmas with this kind of news, he's not doing his daughter any favors. He's not doing anything to help her. I mean, this will be their last Christmas together. Why
Mm-hmm.
not try and make it peaceful? It's
Mm-hmm.
fine that he's made the decision that he's made. It sounds like it's a healthy decision, but he has to handle that news with his daughter in a healthy way. Um, and he's put up with it for 15 years. He needs to kind of look into that too.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's codependent, and he needs to address that, because whoever he chooses next, he will probably be codependent with as well, unless he understands what makes him self-tech. Um, so and his daughter is probably codependent in a way that she doesn't know. And so he should probably help her get into some kind of, Al-Anon group
Mm.
therapy, so that she can start to heal her wounds and make healthier choices herself. That would be a really great Christmas present, to show by
Yeah.
example how to heal yourself and your relationship with an addict, as opposed to just dumping it on the table
Yeah.
because you're angry.
The common theme throughout all of these scenarios that I think you've pointed out is a profound selfishness. Every one of these scenarios is selfish to the core. And that in and of
Mhm.
itself, I think this kind of selfishness is pathological. I do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no, there are no winners here in
No,
this
there
case.
isn't. No, there isn't. And here's the thing. I mean, again, it's about acknowledging that you have power and that you've handed it over to somebody, and finding a way to take it back. And I think just throwing a tantrum is not a mature, healthy way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
None of this. I mean, if it happens because you're angry and it's pent up, but these people are planning it. It's like almost sort of maniacal, and it's just unhealthy. It's
Yeah.
really unhealthy, and they all could benefit from a lot of therapy, and pulling from one of our other shows, like with Max Rivers. You got
Mm-hmm.
to find out why you picked this person, why you stayed with this person. What are you looking for? What are
Yeah.
you looking for out of this scenario, to have one of
Mm-hmm.
those 5 unmet
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
forbidden needs
Yeah.
healed? And is that
Yeah.
really the right way to do it? I mean, um, just with the Festivus scene, um, George Costanza's dad really never doesn't feel good about himself. He really doesn't. So
True.
how does he feel good about himself? By putting other people down. And the character George is a person that, as a result, I mean, both of his parents are very much in his ear that he should do this, he should do that. But it makes it impossible for him to have confidence in any decision he makes,
Mm-hmm.
to be motivated by anything that's truly healthy for him. I mean, Seinfeld's just a great show because it sort of showcases all of these personality traits that
Yeah.
make up the world.
Yeah.
And they're really the land of misfit toys, but
Mm-hmm.
um they're like everybody else. They want to find a way to be happy in the world.
And a lot of these, I would wager that the majority of these scenarios, these individuals are ultimately going to get a divorce from some admitted it, but ultimately get a divorce from their spouse. And it's not going to make that process it's going to make what's already a very difficult process even more torturous. Is that a word?
Yeah,
It's my
yeah,
word. Going to make it
yeah,
even more torturous.
totally. It is. It is. It's really going to be, pouring salt and lemon juice in those wounds. And it's also going to, where the kids are involved, it's poisoning the well that they've been drinking from.
Yeah.
And that's the template for your children going forward in life. Like they
Yeah.
don't, you don't know anything else other than the template of relationships that your parents give you, and it's so deeply ingrained that it's really hard to break out of it and attempt to relate to somebody in a different way. And also, I mean, what this goes with is this is holiday traditions. Like um so going forward, if someone is traumatized by this, a child's traumatized by this event at Christmas, they're either going to always dread Christmas, or they're going to be afraid there's going to be a fight, or they're always going to want it to be a perfect Christmas, like we did. What was it last year? The dysfunctional family Christmas. It's all it those traumas, those fears are all heightened at this time of year because there's this pressure for it to be perfect. And
Yeah.
so these messages delivered at a time where you just want it to be perfect make it harder. I mean, you know, my husband, who came from a very dysfunctional family, said that what he loved about the holidays was that when they went to his grandparents, his mom and dad knew that they had to behave. And so for
Interesting.
those few hours, it was a respite. It was a
Oh,
respite. So,
that's only once a year.
that's only once a year. Well, when they did go to visit, but but
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like this is a time, this holiday is not a time for grievances. This is a respite. This is a time for everybody to take a deep breath and, you know, consider what's really important and just enjoy being.
Mm. Yeah, so it sounds like if you think you're making Christmas better by airing your grievances, you're really making it worse.
Right. And I
You're
think
really making it worse.
well, they do know I think in every one of these scenarios, they know they'll make it worse,
Mm.
but it's their forum.
Hmm.
It's like, now I have your attention. I can be heard.
Yeah.
Um, and okay. Um, is that the way you want to be heard? Is that the way you want to be viewed? Is that the memory you want to create? Because, you know, people are going to judge you according to all of that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that just because, you out somebody for being an awful person, that makes you a good person.
Interesting. So true, right?
Right? I
Well,
mean, yeah,
mhm.
every Christmas story you hear is always that the good thing is that despite the hardships, despite what's like the Grinch, despite how rotten that person was, Whoville came together to just overcome it and accept it. And that's how they turned him around in his perspective.
That's a good analogy. Yeah. Okay. Well, Attorney Lenore, you specialize in divorce mediation. That's how you make the world a better place. And so for those who might be thinking about divorce in their near future, I think you shared that after Christmas is typically a time people start making plans and thinking about, I need to get out of this relationship. So there's no better time to think about it now. And so let's just talk, I'll share a little bit about what you can do to be helpful to those considering it.
So a lot of people starting January think not another holiday like this, not another year like this. So if you come January 1st or 2nd or feeling like something has to change, I would be happy to talk to you. I offer a 60-minute consultation at a discount for anybody that is watching this show. I normally charge $350, but for any show attendees, I discount that to $100. And we can talk about your situation. We can discuss the alternatives that are available to you. Hopefully, we can find a peaceful way for you to move forward.
Yeah.
In a way that is not so taxing on your heart and pocketbook. And things can get better. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step.
Yeah.
So
nice.
if you're watching this and you think you need to take the first step, please contact me. You can reach me at divorcedonedifferentlypa@gmail, and I'd be happy to set up a consultation for us to see how I can help you.
Nice. Well, with that, thank you so much, Attorney Lenore, for sharing your wisdom and your insight on a funny but not so funny topic.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Pam, for taking the journey with me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.